What if I told you that one of the most powerful and, yeah, most dangerous places on the entire planet isn't a capital city or a military base, but a tiny strip of water? That's what we're talking about today, the Strait of Hormuz.
And look, this quote really just says it all, doesn't it? We are talking about a 30-mile wide passage that has the power to literally make or break the global economy. The stakes couldn't be higher.
So to really get why Hormuz is so incredibly important, you first have to understand what a choke point is. And honestly, it's a pretty simple idea. Just think of it like a bottleneck on the world's busiest highways, but for ships. These are super narrow sea passages that almost all commercial and military traffic has to squeeze through to get from one big body of water to another.
And why do these little bottlenecks matter so much? Well, get this. A staggering 80% of all global trade happens on the ocean. Right now, as you're listening to this, there are something like 50,000 massive cargo ships crisscrossing the globe, carrying everything from the phone in your hand to the gas in your car. Our whole way of life, it literally depends on these sea lanes staying open.
And we just saw a perfect and kind of painful example of what happens when one of these choke points gets clogged. You remember the Suez Canal blockage in 2021, right? One ship, the Ever Given, got stuck for just 6 days. The fallout? A $10 billion hit to the global economy. And that was just an accident. Now imagine if someone blocked a choke point on purpose.
And yeah, the world's got a few of these critical spots. You've got the Panama Canal, the Strait of Malacca, the Turkish Straits, the list goes on. Each one is a potential weak spot in the global supply chain. But as we're about to see, none of them, not a single one, even comes close to the importance or the danger of the Strait of Hormuz.
So what is it? What makes this one little waterway in the Middle East so radically different from all the others? Well, the answer isn't really in the strait itself. It's in what the strait is guarding, the Persian Gulf. Okay, so Geography 101 here. The Persian Gulf is this massive hub of natural resources, but it's almost totally landlocked. And the Strait of Hormuz, that's it. That's the one and only way to get from the Gulf to the open ocean. Every single thing that goes in or out by sea has to funnel through this one narrow channel. There's no plan B, no other way out. And who's living on this coastline? It's basically a who's who of global energy giants. You've got 8 nations all bordering the Persian Gulf: Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, the UAE, and Oman. For a lot of these countries, the Strait of Hormuz isn't just a shipping lane, it's their only real link to the rest of the world. All right, now let's get to the numbers, because this is where it starts to get really crazy. The nations right here, in this one small region of the world, are collectively sitting on top of 50%, that's half, of the entire planet's proven oil reserves. And if you thought that was a big number, it doesn't even stop with oil. This same group of countries also holds 40% of the world's proven natural gas reserves. Just let that sink in. Nearly half of the world's most vital energy resources are all clustered around this one body of water. So what's the bottom line? When you add it all up, it means that a full 15% of the entire planet's energy supply, the stuff that powers our lights, our transportation, our factories, everything, it all comes from right here. And it all has to flow out through that one single choke point. Okay, so we know where this ocean of energy is coming from. The next and maybe even more critical question is, where's it all going? Who is on the other end of this incredible lifeline? And the answer is pretty staggering. We're talking about some of the biggest economies in the world. China, number 2 globally, gets around 45% of its petroleum imports through Hormuz. For Japan, the world's 3rd largest economy, it's an absolutely mind-blowing 80% of its total energy. And then you have India and South Korea, both getting about 70% of their oil from this one route. This isn't just a number on a chart. It's the very lifeblood that keeps Asian industry running. So let's just recap, right? You've got this one single point on the map that controls a massive chunk of the world's energy, which in turn powers the world's biggest economies. Well, that is a recipe for one of the most intense and dangerous geopolitical standoffs on Earth. It all comes down to one thing: control. And the geography of power here is just fascinating. To get through the strait safely, ships have to navigate past a series of small islands. Of the 8 most important islands, right there in the narrowest part of the passage, 7 of them are controlled by Iran. This gives them a huge strategic advantage, right in the middle of the action. And this geography is what creates the central tension. On one side, you have Iran with that dominant geographic control. And they have, on multiple occasions, threatened to shut the whole thing down if a conflict breaks out.
And on the other side, you've got the United States and its allies, who have dozens of military bases in all the neighboring countries. And their mission is incredibly simple: keep the oil flowing no matter what. It's like a global chess match being played in a 30-mile corridor.
So, what happens if this powder keg finally explodes? What happens if the threats actually become reality? This is where we get into the terrifying domino effect that could send the entire world into a tailspin.
Let's just walk through it. Step 1. For whatever reason, conflict, attack, you name it, the Strait of Hormuz is blocked for a long period of time. Step 2. That energy lifeline is cut. The tankers stop. The flow of oil and gas to Asia and the rest of the world just stops. Step 3. The economies of China, Japan, India, and South Korea, some of the biggest on Earth, grind to a halt and then they collapse. And that leads us to Step 4. With those economic engines completely dead, a catastrophic global crisis kicks off, and it would affect every single one of us.
And all of that brings us to the final and, frankly, chilling question we have to ask ourselves. When the stakes are this high, when the entire global economy is essentially held hostage by this one choke point, if this 30-mile waterway were to be blocked tomorrow, is a third world war not just possible, but maybe inevitable?